And you can walk around saying, Jesus saved me. And it really might be true that you're saved just by saying that. You know, faith without works is dead. Is that even in the scriptures? Like, is it works or faith? Faith or works? A lot of people balk when you're like, oh, you need works. But Jesus himself said you need to do work. He said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Or maybe he didn't say my commandments, but he says, like, do this stuff, feed my sheep. Don't be hearers of the word only, be doers of the word. It's not that you're not going to be saved necessarily or go to heaven. It's that your life right now will be full of burdens if you choose not to do the things Jesus suggested or commanded to do. Your life's going to be full of burdens if you continue to hate your enemies. And your burden's going to be heavy if you, deceive people. You bear false witness. What does that mean, bear false witness? It means I witnessed something, I saw something, and I'm going to tell it, I'm going to bear it out loud to somebody, the wrong thing, the thing I didn't witness, or what I witnessed changed a little bit. I'm going to witness something and just make myself sound a little better, a trick or deceive. And the father of lies, the deceiver, Satan, it tells the whole truth with a little bit different, little twist at the end, or just a slight deception that just makes it just a little bit wrong. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. That's what Jesus says. And I think just saying, I believe in Jesus, doesn't automatically make your yoke easy and your burden light. I do think you have to do things, but maybe it's kind of like, I heard a Baptist preacher say one time, the one down in Tempe, he said something like, you'll be saved. If you call on Jesus' name, all you have to do is have faith in Jesus to be saved. You'll be saved. But you still have consequences in this life from your actions. And if you act the way Jesus says to act, then those consequences will be more positive than if you choose to act against that. He's just saying the law. And this isn't exactly what that preacher said. He said something else, but it's the same. It's a similar thing. Jesus is just saying, this is the law. This is just how it is. Forgive your enemy. Do good to those who despitefully use you and persecute you. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. That kind of thing. If you love me, feed my sheep. And he does this stuff. He says this stuff. He's like, look, this is just logically the better way. Just do this way. Do life like this. It's so easy. You can just do it. And everybody's like, well, I would, except my grandkids, and I've got to maintain my house and I've got to do all this stuff. Oh, I would, but I'm raising kids, and how can I just forsake all and follow him? How can I do that? That's so impossible. Oh, no, not for me. God wouldn't ask that of me. Yeah, if I saw a way, if there was a way to do it, I would do it for sure. But the only way I could see is going to business school and living in South Jordan. That's the only way I could see how to move forward as close to what Jesus said as possible. I think people are trying to live very close, but there's some simple things love your enemies that people just don't follow, and I don't understand that. That's That's one of the easiest ones, especially loving an enemy like like the enemies outside of the country. You know, it's so easy to look at the news, see the enemies, and be like, all right, well, I can love them. I don't even know them. Why not love them? Do good to those who despitefully use you and persecute you. Okay, so they are doing bad things to me. Maybe I can do good to them. How would that be? How's that going to work out? You know? There's pretty angry people out there.
I just got sprayed. Mom, I just got sprayed. Mom.
So basically, I'm not sure what will save you, works or faith. But it's possible that you need both. It's possible that faith saves you, but works are how you lighten your burden and how you have an easy yoke. And what does that even mean, an easy yoke? The yoke is what fits on the shoulders. Are there harder yokes? Or maybe just what you're yoked to is easy to pull? Not sure. It seems to be true, though, that when you follow what Jesus says, even though it looks really daunting and hard on the outside, it's like, how can I do good to those who despitefully use me and persecute me? Won't I just be dead then? I think you just have to keep trying things out. Because I know in my life, and I haven't had the opportunity to have to make the choice. Oh, look, a deer.
There!
Uh-huh. Of choosing to do good works to someone who is like mortally threatening me or anything. But there's definitely been some hard people in my life that I've had to choose, you know, to do good to and to love, even when they are being extremely difficult and not loving. And it's always worked out for the best. And it definitely, like, maybe the temporal situation isn't the best, but my internal situation is better than it would have been if I wasn't doing that. My internal state has peace, even when the external world is going to crap. And then there's the perpetual state of and yet. It is true. The temporal world is going to crap. And yet I live on a mountain. Things are going upsettingly wrong. I wouldn't say wrong, just things are going different than I would hope for. They're looking like life will not be as good because of it. And yet, I live on a mountain. So yeah, why does God cause bad things to happen to good people? Does he?
Man, bad.
We cause bad things to happen to each other. He's not going to take the natural consequence out of our action. When I act a way that's against my brother, when I act a way that I wouldn't want to be acted upon, I wouldn't want anyone to act upon me the way I'm acting upon somebody else. If that is happening, the natural consequences of the world's going to be a worse place to live in. You have now created a pocket, a tiny little piece that just adds to the whole. All the little pieces add up to the whole, and your little pocket says negative. Your little pocket says ill. Do you want to change your little pocket to love? If your little pocket says love, and my little pocket says love, and everybody says love, well then, I mean, eventually, it adds up to the whole. But your consequences come around. Like, karma's a real thing, whether you believe in it or not.
Which one is it? Cryonic.
So yeah, you might be saved. You might be going to heaven.
Until it be bad.
But let's create something good here also. Let's focus on the works. The works are good. If we all just do it, then it would be easy. And our burdens would be light. There's so many of us. We work together to feed the world. Like, everybody on this planet, well, I mean, there are people who are starving. There's a lot of excess food in some places. In some places, there's less food. So if we just... I think we could produce enough food to feed everyone. We don't need the big eugenics movement to kill a third of the population or whatever it is. Georgia Guidestones. We just need to work together. There's plenty of room and plenty of food. Maybe we want to, I mean, if our population booms exceedingly. I think for now, though, we don't need to kill anyone. We could just live better. And I think eventually the population would stabilize in a reasonable way. We're just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's greed. I think it's lack of natural affection, lack of love, lack of empathy and love for your neighbor. Because why would you produce a pill knowingly that will hurt people for profit? Because you're going to get more money from the sale of the pill than you will have to pay out in lawsuits, so it's worth it to do. Not loving your neighbor, not loving your enemy, not loving anyone in that point, loving yourself, loving money. You know, you can't serve God and mammon.